On this Sly's Giving, I am thankful for all the nonsense that this guy decided to be a part of and have a huge hand in making during this decade. Jamie,
Groovy.
Let's go watch Over the Top. This is a fun one, guys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. Here we gather to speak of movies of the 1980s. We choose a movie every 2 weeks, and we come here to discuss it in detail, more than less. I am one of your hosts, Jamie Lorello. My other host is DP McCambridge. DP, you've been lifting weights with your right arm only.
Yep, just right arm only, that's it. There's no, when you're driving a truck, your other arm just has to hang out the window the whole time.
Let me ask you, how old is your oldest?
13.
Did you ever teach her to
There are a lot of things that this potentially horrible father does. I don't know if it's more dangerous to have her drive a semi-truck or to just proposition other 13-year-olds to arm wrestle her in the back of a restaurant. I don't know what does more psychological damage to a child.
I thought at first that he was going to say, let's play an arcade like you're a rich kid. Maybe you've never played in an arcade before. Let's go play a little. But no. No.
You thought this movie was going to turn and it would be like, now that I just won the arm wrestling competition, let's take you to some video game competition, a pinball competition perhaps for children. There's so much background acting going on. The kid that is doing the pinball in the background, he's wiggling and ramming that machine and dancing. And I was like, I hope he's a player in this movie, because if not, this extra is doing it all. I'm so happy the kid was there and they talked to him. Did you see the guy in the diner that was making these weird
eyes? Yes, behind him? Yes. The guy, it was when his son told him, like, I can't be with you or something. He, like, walked out on him and told him, like, you just hustled that guy for money. And the guy
guy's hilarious.
Making so many eyebrow and like, they didn't tell him to do that. He just thought it would be a good idea. And he probably did it every take. And they were like, what's up with that? Just leave it in. I'm
assuming, since this is a canon production, this guy saw what JCVD did in Breakin' when he was just dancing. Yeah. He's like, this is my time to shine. I'll have a movie. If I just make weird eyebrow looks and I just stare at these people like I'm about to deliver a line, but then the scene just ends.
He does. He looks like he's going to say words of comfort or just say like, well, that kid really told you. But he doesn't.
Nothing.
He didn't need to. He wasn't supposed to.
Oh, it's so great. This movie's so terrible and amazing in all the best ways.
Oh, it's so wonderful. It is so wonderful. It's like a big hug from Stallone is what it is.
It really, yes. Yeah. And you kind of buried the lead a little bit here because this is a holiday for us.
Oh, I mean, yes. How did I not bring that up? It's the most wonderful time of the year here at Good Times, Great Movies. We do try to be mindful for those that are new listeners. I'm pretending like this is still part of our intro, even though we've been talking for 8 minutes.
It's all right.
We try to have themes, right, when we pick our movies. And for November, it's a lovely time of year. My favorite holiday really is Thanksgiving. And on our podcast, we have made it a Sly-skiving. Right. So that means it's Sylvester Stallone. All the time, only the time of year for Sly is now.
Yeah. And all these movies we talk about, like, he's got his mitts all in these movies. Like, I saw screenplay by Sly. I was like, really? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And this, and it's a tender-hearted Sly that we get here. And plus, there's only so much, he does get a bloody nose, but there's only so much,
Did you want Bull to say, like, why are you hitting yourself? because I totally did when he punched him with his own fist. I was like, there's a chance for comedy here, but I know at that point in the movie...
Too intense.
Well,
yeah.
Wait, when I say in that point in the movie, is there any comedy in this? I don't think so. This is
a
straight
little
up
bit.
serious movie.
Well, sometimes the way Stallone answers his son in the beginning when he's like, "Oh, you're a ball of laughs," and I mean it's a little lighthearted, but I wouldn't say there's any like.
No, I don't think you're supposed to laugh
no.
or smile at any. Maybe smile at the end. We'll smile.
Yeah,
at the
you're
end.
gonna smile throughout when he teaches him how to drive the truck, and he's so excited. The kid Mike, so excited to drive his truck, and that's I smiled big for Stallone, for the kid. It was great.
All right, so there are some smiles to be had in this movie.
Come on, yes.
Oh, and it's over the top, in case we didn't mention.
Which is apparently a titular term in the world of arm wrestling. Do you remember? I guess arm wrestling was a big thing in the 80s.
Listen, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I do not want to make that leap for that being a term in the arm wrestling community.
True, it
is a huge term in this movie. I don't know that it's real.
They say it at the competition, at the double elimination competition.
This is a movie that Stallone wrote. Of course they're going to say whatever he wants them to say.
You don't think he does research? You don't think he looks in to make sure?
You know what? That is actually a good question. It was something I was wondering the whole time, because most of the guys arm wrestling, I was like, are these real arm wrestlers?
That's what I thought too.
Cannot be actors, right?
Especially when they do the competitors, like when they're standing in front of the
I loved it. It made me think of the real world. It felt just like that.
I agree. No, it was great. I love how the prize too. Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
It's a huge prize for an arm wrestling competition. $100,000. I'm like, where's this sponsorship coming?
And a sweet truck. Like, it kind of sucks if you're not a trucker and you're an arm wrestler.
They at one point go representing the truckers division. And I was like, the trucker? What does that mean? And none of these other people are interested in a truck except for the guy representing the trucker division. I want Bull to be like, I don't need this. I just want to take it so Sly doesn't have it. Like, I want to win this truck and then film myself letting it fall off a cliff and send him the video. So
over the top we go. Let's get into it.
Let's get into. Oh, first of all, everybody, if you are interested in sort of following us, follow us on the social things. We're on all that stuff. Just go to our website, goodtimesgreatmovies.com. Everything is there. You'll find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our Patreon, where, and we'll talk about it later, we have a patrons only episode coming up on December 1st, and we'll have another one on December 24th.
Ah, those patrons, they're lucky. You can be one too.
So yeah, go check that out. If you want to follow us, please do give us a star rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get the podcast. But let's get into Over the Top from 1987.
Let's get into our first music video. Let's do it. Because that's what we're getting, right? In the opening.
It's quite the epic music video at multiple times. I mean, there are... To call these things montages, I think, does a disservice to the term montage. Because it's just these... Especially here, it's these sweeping...
It's beautiful.
Majestic landscapes of a truck driving through mountains. And, like, it goes on forever. The opening credits run for a very, very long time.
It's the whole song. I think it's like a 5-minute. Yeah. And he drives, like you said, through beautiful mountains.
Through credits.
Yeah. He's happy as can be as a truck driver. He's just living his life. He washes the car. We see how much he loves the truck because he washes the truck.
Through the credit sequence, they establish the hell out of the fact that he's a truck driver. Like, that is it. We're just watching like an instructional video of how to care for your truck. Like, that is what we're watching here.
But it's beautiful, and the music lets you know. I love, too, how when he's in the cabin, the kid turns on the radio. He's always listening to ballads. It's just this music that he likes to listen to when he drives the truck.
I do love how the kid's like, nope, none of this. He's like, that's a really good song. Really? Because it's not that great, but all right, Sly. I know your music choices. I get it.
Sly gets emotional. I mean, look at all those pictures he's taped everywhere. He washes himself down. He gives himself a little
This routine, like the fact that he misses his kid's graduation because he has to meticulously wash his truck and like polish the little hawk hood ornament and wash himself. And I'm like, why? You could have been there on time. Like, you didn't need to show up after the graduation ceremony.
Right. Well, and like you said, now there's a graduation. Is it military school, I guess, he's graduating from?
I hope so. If not, I don't know why these kids are dressed this way.
I like when later it's just one sleeve falls off and he wears it for a couple of scenes. Anyway, so
he wears it for a while because Sly's like, let's just pull that other sleeve off and just sort of, make some symmetry here.
Yeah.
And then I thought that was going to be like his look for the rest of the movie, but then it's gone.
Oh, I should note that I watched this on, I forget what platform, but it did have commercials. So,
oh, nice.
I hope I got most of them. I mean, I don't think I missed anything major, but you know how sometimes there were some cuts that I was like,
while the commercials were going. Like, I know this is a Geico commercial, but I still hear some epic ballad. You're like, is that Richard Marx this time? I'm not sure. I think not.
So many.
So this whole opening is intercut with his kid graduating from military school. Mm-hmm. I did note that this kid refuses to throw his hat in the air. Everybody else throws his hat in the air. He just puts his right back on.
He's looking around. Nobody's there for him to celebrate with, and that's. Like you said, you're kind of like, oh, so this Mr. Clean It truck couldn't clean his truck a little faster to see his son throw his hat in the air. But nobody's there. The grandfather didn't come for the kid, and the mother, we find out, is very ill.
And also the grandfather has no trouble just showing up when he
to
finds
the
out
school,
that the kid was taken. Mm-hmm. But just to show up, I was like, I thought he was across the country or something. He's there within 20 minutes of this kid leaving with Sly. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I could not believe this. But anyway.
Well, there was a couple of things that were just convenient. Like when the kid drives to the airport, like he decides to steal a car.
Nobody questions that. Not at all. I like when he fights with Sly Stallone, runs away at least 20 feet to a cab and is like, Cabby, let's go. And the cab's like, you got it, kid. We're out of here. Don't worry about clearly that man who's your father running at the cab yelling, wait.
He runs from him a lot. Like when he runs into traffic the first time, I'm like, what is this feral kid doing?
And if I was a pedestrian just driving down the street and I see a boy escape from a truck and a hulking maniac running after him, I'm calling the authorities.
Yeah, I'd be a little more concerned. Right. I agree.
Other than like just the ADR voices of people being like, get out of here, you kid. Watch out, you jerk. Okay. All right. So nobody showed up for this kid's graduation. Mm-hmm. Sly does finally show up in his suspenders.
With his Mater truck. I don't want...
His Mater truck? That's, I think Mater's a tow truck.
but he looks like Mater. The color.
He does not have the back of the truck. Let's call that the towy part of the truck.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I like how this truck is his main mode of transportation. Like, he doesn't have any other vehicle, and he has no home. Mm-mm. I know a few people that are truck drivers, not to brag or anything, but I know. And there are some people that live near me that are truck drivers, and you'll see they must own their truck, and it'll be like parked in their driveway or in their yard. Yeah. But they don't drive that truck to like go get groceries or
to their son's graduation.
Yeah. He takes this everywhere. This is all he's got to his name.
Yeah.
And it's adorable and interesting, but also the most implausible nonsense this movie may have in it. When he shows up at this military academy, I know that he's wearing suspenders, but he does have a button-down shirt on and like khakis.
Yeah, he cleans up nice.
Everybody's staring at him like an alien has suddenly entered campus. And I'm like, he doesn't look that ridiculous.
Well, it's the suspenders, I guess, because they put it over the edge a little.
He does at times look like he should be hanging out, cutting trees down with Natty Gann's father.
That's what he's on his way to. That's where the adventure's taking them next.
Yes. He's like, just throw those logs in the back of my truck. That's what I'm doing here. So this kid, also a limo shows up for this kid.
Yeah.
Sent by the grandfather, but right now, question mark. We're not sure who. Mm-hmm. But the kid is called into the, let's say, dean's office.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
I like how this kid has a huge conversation with the dean, ignoring the fact that this man
Yeah.
who is his father is standing in the room.
I like better that the evidence that he has
You mean his ID?
Yes. First of all, the dean is like, matter of fact, like, no, this is what's going to happen. Your father's here and he's going to take you. And the kid is like, I've never met him before. I don't know. He's like, well, he's here and he's your father. So this is who you're going with. And the kid, who's kind of an ass in the beginning, especially, is like, can I see some identification? And Stallone has a manila envelope with him that you're like, what does he got? Like the birth certificate with the name on it? What does he have? It's an 8x10 of his wedding picture with his mom. He's like, there you go. That's all the proof you need is I have a picture of me and your mom.
And that's what I think is hilarious about the fact that this dean is totally fine with this. Because the dean, I assume this same conversation happened between the dean and Stallone. And
well, this is the evidence he brought.
Who are you? And he's like, look at this picture. And I can only imagine the dean going, I don't know who this woman is, but I guess if you're telling me it's his mother, fine. You can take this kid. It is wild that this is his identification. Can I see some ID, sir? Yeah, here's an old wedding photo of me and your mother.
That was good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So he does drive in his truck, and he makes some snide comments about, like, is this your wheels or whatever he says.
Yeah, he's not happy to be with him.
No,
the kid is not happy
all.
to be with him.
I like the fact that this doesn't continue that long.
Yes.
Like, because I'm reminded of, what was that movie with Ed O'Neill? Dutch? Is that the movie where he goes and picks up, like, maybe you didn't see it. It's a movie where, you know, he goes to pick up this kid, and it's like the kid of a woman that he's dating or just married or something like that. And so he has to drive across the country with this kid. And the entirety of the movie is this kid.
They hate each other.
Hating him, trying to escape, blah, blah, blah. They don't bond until the last 10 minutes. And I'm kind of glad they didn't do that long in this movie.
Yeah.
The kid immediately looks around the truck, and he's like, wow, it's just pictures of me. Like, there's no nudie photos anywhere here. Taped all around. At one point, I thought he had framed photos in the back, and I went, no, that's just like black electrical.
Yeah, he's just got black tape around it. Yeah. But they're everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. And the kid is even like, how did you get all these? And he's like, your mom sent them to me, you know.
Yeah.
And
he's like, I wrote to your mom all the time. And we do find out, he's like, okay, so you wrote to my mom. And why didn't you ever send me any letters, birthday cards, or anything? And Stallone's like, what are you talking about, ding dong? I wrote to you continuously.
A million, I think he says. I wrote to you a million times.
Yeah, when we see him, there's like 20 letters. But still, you know, twice a year, that's still a lot.
Yeah, no, I love the hunt for them, and that all it takes for this kid's mind to change is finding those letters. That's all it takes.
I find it amazing that since he had been writing to this, I was about to say this woman, his ex-wife the whole time, like she never showed this kid a photo of Stallone. It was like, this is your dad.
No.
He's never seen this man in his life.
And we learned that all that the grandfather has been saying about him is negative things. And that's obviously, that's part of this attitude little Mike is given. We didn't talk about his name. Sly's name is Lincoln Hawk. That's kind of amazing. It's almost as good as...
It's an amazing name.
Yes!
That's a fantastic name. Did you notice, though, halfway through this movie, multiple characters call him Hawks?
Yes.
Multiple characters. And I was like, have I been getting this wrong the whole time? And then he goes in with, like, a lawyer or something, and the guy's like, all right, Hawk. I'm like, what just happened? These past couple scenes, 2 to 3 different people refer to him as Hawks.
It's a term of affection. Hawksies. Hawks. I don't know.
Hawksies? All right.
I don't know. I did think, until I really listened, I was like, is his name Lee? Is it Hawk?
I swore it was Lee as well.
But I might call him that for Lincoln. I don't know. Or they just mumble Lincoln. But yeah, Lincoln Hawk. It's a pretty badass name. It's really good.
It makes me wonder if at certain points during shooting, like maybe certain scenes were shot, and he's like, my character's name is Lee Hawks, so let's go for it.
Maybe.
And then later on, he's like, Lee, that's not a very tough name.
Lincoln, that sounds, and it's got
and
sort
let's
of
just
a
drop the
prestigious
S.
name.
It's a lot there, you know. All right. No, we don't need to reshoot that. It's fine.
It's fine.
This is a canon picture. Who
It's
cares?
all in the same, yeah.
We'll go back and we'll fix that later. Oh, we forgot? Who cares?
That's fine. It's really more about all those faces I can make while I'm arm wrestling. It's an intense amount of face work.
So much face work by him, and even Bull, the eye work.
Oh yes,
at the end when he's losing.
Oh, because you've got to be like stressed and there's only so much you could do with an arm, right? So there's a lot you got to do with the face.
You know, I thought there was only so much you could do with an arm wrestling competition. This movie proved me, no, you can make an entire feature film, and the last third of it is just arm wrestling.
Just the competition, just the double elimination.
They're driving in this truck, and the kid's like, sir, could you please pull over?
Oh,
I'm going to vomit in your vehicle. So he finally does, and this is when the kid takes off through traffic, and Stallone hunts him down and tears his sleeve off of his military jacket.
And the kid he says this a couple of times, because I hate you! I hate you! But he drags him back, sleeveless or with one sleeve, back into the cab. And like you said, the passerbyers should be more alarmed that this kid was just tackled by a truck driver and brought back into the truck.
Driver, who I assume dragged him back into the cab of that truck across 3 or 4 lanes.
He grabs him aggressively, but then he's very tenderly is like, okay, well, he and the kid
breaks down in tears.
Yes. And your kid realizes, he's got no choice. He's just emotional. It's a lot coming up. He's meeting his dad for the first time. It's a lot. The kid's a very peculiar kid. When he wants to stop for some place to eat, which, first of all, the kid talks about
what was that? Yeah. What are you talking about? What's the What was that? As truck drivers like to do, eat food. You know what I'm saying.
I guess it did cut off.
I didn't know. I was like, am I supposed to read something into this that I'm not getting?
Well, I would assume this kid's used to like fancy dining, right?
Sure.
And where are we eating now? Ponderosa? Where are we going? So, where do we go? So the kid is very mindful of health. We got to watch your cholesterol because the dad's or Stallone's like, let's go get a steak somewhere.
I do like how the kid's like, you could get cholesterol disease. And like, does he mean high cholesterol? I guess that's a cholesterol disease, but it makes it sound like there's something in your cholesterol. Before they get here, we do find out, and this was another treat in this movie that I didn't pay much attention, I guess, during the credits. I mean, it went on forever. But Robert Loggia shows up as this kid's grandfather.
Oh,
and
yes.
Like, oh, this is so great. He's going to be screaming his way through this, getting mad. And he totally does. When he talks to his daughter, and it's the most soft-spoken Robert Loggia has ever performed in his life, I was shocked by that.
And he is. He's very, very soft with her because she takes a real turn for the worse. Like, she gets real sick real quick. Like, every time we see her, and she's sicker and sicker, and then we all know her fate. But
unless you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, stop this and go watch Over the Top.
Sorry.
It's a breezy hour and a half. You'll have a good time.
It is a breezy hour and a half.
You can start 20 minutes in now. You've heard us describe the beginning of it.
No, you want to watch because the music itself will just whisk you away.
We find out that he's been taking care of this kid because the wife has been, or his mother has been like in and out of the hospital. They don't really get into much detail about what her issue is. It's a heart problem.
Yes.
So he's been caring for this kid. He has a ton of money, question mark. And he also has like a couple of goons that walk around with him all the time that do his bidding for him. So they go to this diner where the kid's like, I think I'll order some tuna salad, please, because tuna salad on wheat bread is what you should eat. And I love the fact that everybody knows Hawk and everybody loves Hawk. Like the strange men are hugging him as he walks into this random diner.
He's well loved, but there's also like, aren't there a couple of guys coming up to him like he's
Do you mean this blonde mullet with eyes? There are these two guys that come up, and he's so anxious, like so angry. The guy's like, I heard you're pretty good at arm wrestling. Take it down. He just ordered tuna salad. Like, just relax. This guy is so mad
so intense.
for no
He's
reason.
angry. Well, he's got to get that anger out. He needs to arm wrestle.
I guess. And Stallone is somewhat hesitant, but not really.
He's ready to show off. He's just kind of proud. This is his skill that he's an arm wrestler and good at it.
Yeah, it is almost like he's like, You thought it was just a truck driver?
Yeah.
Watch this, kid. Get ready for your mind to be blown. I can also arm wrestle.
I want there to be another...
This kid already knows that he's jacked because the kid, when he's talking about eating healthy, the kid's like, for a guy who works out all the time, you're not very health conscious. It's like, yeah, I guess. Put those giant arms around him when he ran out in traffic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did. And he had to have seen the equipment in the car, the weights that he lifts.
I hope this kid saw it because I clearly didn't until
I didn't see it until he was using it. Yeah, but maybe, I mean, he sat in the...
I love the shots of them in the cab of the truck when you can see through the window that they're clearly not towing anything, and then you pull back and they're towing a giant trailer behind it. So he goes in, they clear off a table in this other room, and they set up for arm wrestling. And this is when we get, I guess, a good idea of critique or technique.
Technique,
that he has.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Also, during this, when he is arm wrestling this guy, we see this gigantic bald monster walk up behind this kid, and I was like, who is this child monster?
Oh, yeah. Totally creepy.
He, puts his arm around this kid, and he's like, why are you with that guy?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a question is this to ask this child? And the kid's like, that's my dad. And he's like, too bad. I'm like, this is gross.
This guy wants to eat this kid. What is happening?
It's like, this is so upsetting right now.
Yeah.
As I was talking about earlier, we see some of his technique, which is to reposition your hand so you put a couple fingers over the guy's thumb.
Before you even arm wrestle, before you even are in the match, you got to turn on the switch. You got to turn your hat around, right? And he speaks of it later, a little more detail. Yeah,
I found that to be the funniest thing ever because I was like, why is this in this movie? Who cares?
Because it's visible. So he turns his hat backwards, which, as he explains later, is turning on the switch. And he switches on, and you can see the intensity in Stallone's eyes. In his every muscle of his face gets tense. His eyes are bulgy, yet squinty at the same time.
Did you like the ad-libbing later in the movie of Stallone when he's talking about it? And he's like, I turn around, it's like a switch, and then I feel like and he turns around and goes,
like a truck. I know, I feel like that's right, a truck. Like this truck here behind me. I'm like a machine, like a truck machine.
It's so amazing. It's just so amazing. Every decision in this filmmaking process is wrong, but it works so well.
It works so well. Yeah. Suspenders, you would think wrong, but so right. So right.
Do you think this was a time in Stallone's life where he's like, you know what? I'm going to go with suspenders. I'm done with
I could
these
work
belts.
it.
I'm going to bring these with me all the time. It's just what I'm going to do. I can only imagine he had to have been wearing suspenders at some point in Rhinestone, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think in that singing when he does
I can almost picture them with a yellow T-shirt or something. He's just wearing suspenders. So he's arm wrestling, and he beats this guy pretty handily. I mean, it's not the easiest match he has. It's not the black guy at the end who's like, I wasn't even ready. What are you doing? That was hilarious because I'm like, this should be getting tougher, but Stallone, I think, tricked that guy into thinking he wasn't about to start the match, and he just slams him down. Let's go, and walks away.
Well, I think sometimes you got to do that in a wrestling or an arm wrestling match because there's only so much moves you could do in arm wrestling, right? Back and forth, back and forth. So sometimes you just got to boom win the match, right? And
You're right. I do like the fact that you say there's only so many moves where we hear these announcers sometimes going, what a move. What move?
Well, the hand thing, like you said, the technique he does have, besides the hat turnaround, to enter his state and enter the match, he's got this finger grasp that he does, a readjustment of his hand for when he's going to kind of give it the final winning.
Yes. There's so many adjustments before they even start going near the end of this movie when he's gripping that one guy and he's just moving his fingers over and over and over and over again. The guy seems aggravated by this.
I like how in between matches, he has like a lady rubbing his arm and another guy, what is that, like buffing out his shoulder? Like, what is that machine?
And he's
that
just like,
using?
Joe, how much time do I have? I'm like, did you bring these people with you? Were they in the back of your truck? Are they your team?
No, I think that maybe the competition supplies them.
Right.
But you gotta know that arm is gonna get tired. Might even get an injury. You might have to wrap a towel around it for a little while.
For all the explanation they gave about double elimination, I have no idea how many people are in this competition.
There's
I have
a
no
lot.
idea how long this is
There
taking.
were ladies. There was a lady prize too, which was less money.
You do see some permed woman jumping around. He's like, "That's it for the ladies' competition."
Yeah.
Okay. Guess we don't care about that. And I know this takes place over the course of one evening, and I understand you're getting very sweaty, but how many times does Stallone have an outfit change?
Many, but worth it. I think worth it. When he comes out in that
Totally
last New York t-shirt outfit, I was like, oh.
Yeah. I don't know how many tank tops he packed in the back of that truck with him, but he's going through all of them at this competition. So after he wins this fight, $1,000 too. This arm wrestling match, because that mulleted weirdo is like $1,000. He wins $1,000, and then this big bald guy's like, "Come on, let's just do it now. I don't want to wait till Vegas to beat you." And Sly's like, "No, I just did it. My son's here." The end of that scene. I guess we'll see that guy again later.
We don't know why he's so intent, but we know they're going to meet back up in Vegas. We know that he's got something he's headed for. We don't know exactly where they're going at first, these two, but they're on their way back to, I guess, California to see the mom.
It's a whole thing because the kid is even like, "Well, how long is this going to take?" And he's like, "Well, I have to make a couple deliveries, and then we'll see your mom at the hospital. No big deal."
Yeah.
So I get a few days in this truck, I guess.
And they're starting out, I think, in Colorado. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So this is where they fight over the truck radio.
Oh, yes.
Once the radio does get turned off, they decide to make small talk. And I love how the kid's like, "Excuse me, sir, but are you still dealing drugs?" Yeah. And the way Sly looks at him for a minute, I was like, was he dealing drugs?
Yes.
Because his response isn't like, "Whoa, hey, kid, what are you talking about?" No. It's just kind of like, process this information for a minute and just think about how I'm going to respond to this.
Yes. No, but it's clear that the grandfather's been feeding this Mike some stories.
Right.
And that's what I think what Stallone is realizing. I have down, she is so sick and he is so tan, because when we see
it's the contrast of the very tan, very healthy Stallone and this poor woman in a hospital bed, and I'm just like, they didn't give you anything to do at all. No, just call in. All you're there to do is to allow Stallone to talk to you and to allow like restrained rage from Robert Loggia as he sits at the end of the bed, because this is where Robert Loggia does go into the hospital, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like letting this kid's father like drive him around? Like it's silly of you." You might not have that much time left, but I'm kind of upset with you. And it's a really funny conversation, because at one point he's like, "And then he's a pretty rotten guy." It's all right. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm not going to stick my goons on him. And he walks out and he's like, "That's it. Everybody in this hospital, patch all the calls to me, and you two come with me." He's got like one goon who looks like he could get into a fight, and the other guy, I guess, is his lawyer.
His secretary, I think. Maybe his lawyer. Okay. When he goes to the jail, he introduces himself as his personal secretary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but one guy looks like he'll rough you up. The other one is very pretty.
We see no evidence of this guy roughing you up, though. I mean,
no,
for just one second, I was like, maybe he'll get into a fight. Nope, thrown through a door, and he is out of the movie.
And Dunsies. Yep, Dunsies.
This is when they have their first evening, and the kid's like, "Shouldn't we like get a motel room or something?" And Sly's like, "I thought we'd just sleep in the truck. That sounds cool." Sounds like he's hitting on this kid like at a movie theater. Like I expected him to be like, and like yawn and put his arm around him. The weird things that he's saying, like, "If you want to, you can just put your head on my shoulder. Like it's okay."
Well, look at my giant arm here. Look at my giant right arm that I use for arm wrestling. If you want to lay on it, it's very cozy. It's much bigger than
muscles are like pillows.
Yeah. And the kid is like, again, the kid's making a turnaround. From the beginning, he's like, I hate you, and you're a drug dealing jerk, and where have you been all my life? And now he's like, okay, yeah, all right, we're going to sleep in a cab. I could do it. I'll sleep in a cab. And he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need your arm, sir. I'm just going to put my head right here.
Put my head against this pane of glass over here. It's fine. I do think it's funny. It's a nice little joke how when they wake up, Sly has his head on the kid's shoulder. I thought that was great.
This is when they have a little drive and bond time, right? And this is where, is this where we hear the Kenny Loggins song for the first time?
Yes, because they're not driving and bonding yet. This is, I think, Jamie, this might be my new morning workout routine. It's just truck related. Because by the rising sun behind them, they're like doing push-ups and sit-ups, and they're using the truck to like pull themselves up. I don't quite understand what they're doing, but it's kind of super fun.
They're getting their morning workout on before their long drive.
This transitions into like an on-the-road montage then after that.
Yes.
More truck driving, more Kenny Loggins.
Some working out in the truck, some working out in the truck as well.
He's showing this kid how to work out with a single arm while you drive a truck. And this kid, like, they seem to have so much fun working out in the morning. And this kid's like, there's more to life than just muscles.
Yeah.
I'll bet you've never read a book in your life.
Talk about restraint. When he pulls over, so you can't tell how angry Sylvester Sly is getting, but he pulls over, and the kid is like, "What's going on? Are you mad?" He's like, "No, I was mad a couple miles ago. I'm fucking pissed now."
Yeah, I kind of expected him to pull over and go like, "That's it, kid. Me and you
that's
outside
what I thought
right
he was
now.
gonna
Let's take it to the streets."
I thought he was going to do the same thing. I was like, he's going to kick this kid to the curb right here. Why what? But no, he pulls over and he's like, oh, it's a blessing to drive with such an intellectual giant. Yeah, right. Oh my God.
I like how he's like, you think you're so fucking smart? Drive this truck. I'm like, he's 10. What are you talking about? How does that
and even the kid is like, well, the kid says, I can't be that hard. I've driven a Dune before, right? Or a Dune buggy? Because he calls him
I've driven a Dune. I got in a giant pile of sand and just drove it around. It was awesome. People told me I couldn't do it. That's how smart I am. Stallone. So Stallone basically gets this kid to drive the truck. He sort of teaches him. It's a really nice.
It's very sweet. Yeah, it's very, very sweet. Yeah. The kid is scared at first, and they're on some like country road too, so they're not like on a freeway or anything.
I do have to say that this kid didn't do much. I don't want to say he didn't do much before or after this. He still continues to act, and he does a lot of voice work. Like a lot of his stuff is cartoon voices, stuff like that. I didn't think he was that bad. Like I thought he was pretty good in this movie.
I agree. And he gets very emotional. He gets angry and he cries a lot, and there's a lot of emotion.
But like even something like this, like the genuine joy and happiness he seems to have driving this truck, I was totally
believable. Yeah, me too. It's very sweet because he gets so excited like you would if you were a 13-year-old boy and you had driven a truck for the first time. Like
God,
yeah, and because you could see at first he's having a hard time, but Stallone talks him into it, and Stallone's like, "Yeah, you're a natural at it." And now they're really bonding, and it looks like they're eating fries or burgers, and they're stopping at some place, and the kid's not worried about his cholesterol.
No, not anymore.
Poison at all, yeah.
Yeah. We see in the background some punks are playing video games.
Yeah. This is when Stallone teaches him to hustle, because, it's important. If you could drive a truck, you should hustle well.
This so reminded me of like a haircut I used to have with like the spiky hair on top, but the back's just a little bit long. It's not a mullet, but it could go there if you don't cut it in a few years. Yeah. But there's this kid and then like his two toady friends. And
all of them giving their best performance.
Oh, these kids are so into I guarantee you they cannot believe that they are on screen with Sylvester Stallone. These kids are losing their minds.
And they're like, we're going to do the best. Maybe we could be like the understudy. If that kid doesn't make it, we could be the new Mike.
Yeah. I imagine that the two that aren't given lines or they don't arm wrestle are just like with each other. They're like, we need to get so into it. We need to cheer this guy on. And then when he loses, we got to make fun of this kid so badly.
We got to make so many faces too. So many faces. You know that guy in that scene a couple of scenes back.
The audience will be wondering like, I wonder if they're still his friends anymore. Like, that's what we need them to think at the end of this arc.
They get into it. These kids get into it.
But not at first, because we just see him in the background hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
And Stallone, of course, he notices these kids too. Mm-hmm. And he, like, tells his kid, he's like, hey, let's go in and let me just put up some money and you can arm wrestle these strangers. And the kid kind of doesn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. It's a weird part in this movie where the emotional roller coaster, let's call it, of this kid is just like, all right, I trust him. He's my father. Then it goes to, you embarrassed me, you horrible monster. You're the worst father ever, to, I love you more than anyone else on the planet.
Yeah, it's a swing. It's a bit of a swing. But again, he's adjusting. He didn't know this man for the first, decade or more of his life. So, but yeah, they go in, and the first time that they arm wrestle, even with Stallone's little pep talk and gentle, I'll say, encouragement, he loses, right? He loses the first of the matches.
Yeah, but I think it is important to note, Jamie, 2 out of 3. Best 2 out of 3 for this arm wrestling. Now, they don't repeat it 45 times, so I understand as an audience member, we could be like, why are they doing it again? This kid already lost. But yeah, it's like, he's like, I'll bet my kid, see this skinny little kid here? I'll bet he can beat you 2 out of 3 times.
Yeah.
And first, the punk just beats him. I mean, not easily. The kid's really trying.
Yeah.
But he loses, and then he cries and runs out. And Stallone, I like how the kid runs out and cries, and Stallone's like, to the other kids, he's like, hold on, just wait right here. It's okay. We'll be right back. The whole time through this scene, I was like, how creepy is this that he is there? Like, if it's just a couple of kids arm wrestling, that's fine.
But that the dad is like insinuating all this. Yeah.
He's like giving him back rubs and stuff and being like, it's okay, I love you so much. And I'm like, how are these kids just not laughing at this?
He gives them a good pep talk, though, when they go outside. He gives them a good, because the kid's like, Grandpa said you were a loser, and now you're trying to make me a loser. And Stallone, and it's a beautiful motivational speech. If you're starting out with a crummy day, you should play this part of the movie. He says, you let yourself get beat. If you're going to lose, you need to lose like a winner. Mm-hmm. And then he tells him, I believe in you. I know you can do it. Okay. That's the lines I wrote down. There you go.
It's a lot of like, and you hit it on the head. It's a lot of like, nobody's going to look out for you. You got to take care of yourself, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about the haters, whatever he's saying. And it comes...
Haters going to hate, son. Haters going to hate.
First time it's ever been spoken, actually. Who knew that like 30 years from now it'd be such a big deal? He convinces the kid to go back in.
Yeah.
Pep talks him all the way, and the kid actually wins. And the punk kid's like, you just got lucky, blah, blah, blah. And he beats him a second time. Mm-hmm. And there are hugs all around.
Oh, it's wonderful.
This kid owes Sly $1, which I thought was hilarious. Because Sly's like 10-1. I'll put up $10, you put up 1. Yeah.
This is when they make the call in the phone booth, right, to the mom. The kid is so pumped. He calls the mom. He's like, oh, my God, I drove a truck, and I'm arm wrestling now. And like...
I have not seen this movie since it was not in theaters. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it on HBO. So we're talking, at least 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I thought I remembered all of this, but there were so many parts of this movie where I 100% thought I remembered what was happening. When Stallone gets in the phone booth and over his shoulder you see the kid outside, like he's flexing himself. 100% I was like, I cannot wait for those kids to come out and just beat him up like over his shoulder. That's not what happens. It's something, I don't want to say just as funny, but I was
all of a
something's
sudden
gonna happen right here, and I just love how this shot's framed.
Well, yeah, but what happens next is not that he gets beat up by the guys he just arm wrestled.
No.
But he does get taken away. Like, literally, they just lift him up by the armpits. These 2 guys come on either side of this kid.
These 2 random hillbillies throw this kid in a truck.
And at first I thought these are some arm wrestling goons from, like, the trucker restaurant earlier. I was like, are they just trying to scare... Is this a scare tactic from the arm wrestling community?
Yeah, I kind of knew it was happening because there's a quick scene before this of Robert Loggia in his office.
Yes.
And he looks at one of his goons. He's like, come over here. I have an idea. And I'm like, I guess you just know random truckers or whoever these guys are.
Yeah, they are. They put him in a pickup truck with him, and they drive off. And Stallone is not having this. And I was like, this is really fucked up now. If you're just teaching this kid how to drive a truck, how to arm wrestle, and now he's getting abducted, this is not boding well for you as a father.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, well, a pickup truck would easily be able to outrun a semi, because it would take this truck a long time to just get up to speed, let alone make 90-degree turns.
You don't know who the driver is. You don't know who that spunky driver is.
He does cause a giant accident when he saves this kid, and then seemingly they just get in the truck and drive away.
They drive through a whole other little, like, trucking community, right? Or they drive some kind of, Yeah,
he smashes up several cars during this chase. It ends in a giant crash. He beats up a third guy who comes out of nowhere to beat him up. He beats up this guy, throws the kid back in the truck, and now they're off. And the kid's just kind of like, wait, what? Wait, what's happening?
Well, Sly's got a bloody nose or something, and he's like... Yes. Dad, are you okay? And he's like, I'm okay. And then he says, it was your grandfather, because he says, who were those guys? Ask your grandfather about that.
So finally, after this, crazy bunch of events, they arrive at the hospital.
Oh.
And he's dressed in his default suspenders, his hospital suspenders this time.
That's when you know it's business, because you've got the fancy suspenders. Well, we're not greeted...
Well, this interaction with this woman working the desk, I think, is really great. Because he asks to see this woman, and she's like, and she's just like looking around, frantically going, who are you? I'm her husband. And she's like, I think you should maybe talk to a doctor. She just wanders off to grab some old doctor, comes over, and he's like, I don't know, she died on the operating table.
Yeah, yes.
I'm surprised you didn't know that. Wow, bedside manner, dude.
That is how he delivers the news.
Yes.
He's like, oh, you're your husband? Yeah, well, operating table dead. God.
Yeah, like we tried everything we could. We really tried to get a hold of you. You apparently have no home number because you have no home.
Right.
We really tried everything. It's like, nope, she's dead, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, she's 6 feet. Yeah, we're done with her. And
she's
now
6 feet. Wow. Worst doctor ever. No, get the fuck out of my hospital.
Quit scaring my nurses. Well, now the kid, again, Mike is so prone to being emotional and running off. He loves to run when he's feeling the hardest.
His mother just died. I don't know if we could say he's prone to being emotional. I would hope he's being emotional in this situation.
Prone to running when he's emotional. Yes. That's what I should have said.
Yeah, he does take off.
Yeah.
And this is where, like I said, he just jumps in a cab, and the cab is like, whatever you say, Mac, we're out of here. Let's
do it. Let's do it. Yeah. He runs. It is really sad. He tells Stallone, like, you weren't there my whole life, and now our little, like, cross-country or wherever, our little road trip made it so that we missed... She was dying, and we were road tripping, basically.
Yeah, we didn't need to arm wrestle a couple of strangers on this trip.
Yeah, we could have gotten here faster without all the adventure, Dad.
Right. I like to think that he just yelled the address to this cabbie, and the cabbie's like, that's the rich neighborhood. You got it, kid.
Yeah, let's go.
And also, listen, you're saying 6 feet under. We smash cut to a funeral.
We're there. We're right there.
That Stallone interrupts. He shows up halfway through this. Even the priest or whoever is giving this eulogy, like,
he stops.
Yeah. So Stallone can throw some flowers, turn around, and just leave.
Yep. Well, he doesn't even he's this little saunter. Like, he's still listening to the music in his truck while he walks.
I assume that music is playing in his head on a constant loop.
Completely. Yeah, because he walks off and then he gets to watch the sunset in his truck at the ocean. It's beautiful. Like, kind of takes it all in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what did I do? And then he decides that, I guess, watching the sunset will, make some decisions. He decides to drive to that mansion. It's
so fun. Like, his reaction, what he decides to do, really does lend itself to what this kid said about Sly maybe not being the most book smart person in the world. Because we keep seeing this lawyer talking to Robert Loggia being like, listen, no lawyer in their right mind is going to give this kid to you.
Which, how is that the case? Because do they give the kid to the man who has no home and arm wrestles for extra cash and drives a truck? Or do they give the kid to his grandfather who is very wealthy and can obviously, care for his son or his grandson?
I want a scene at the end of this movie and a lawyer just being like, no, I don't care how much you want to go with this guy, kid. He ran a truck into a house.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, but this is a dangerous human being.
This was not the smart. It's done out of passion and love.
Yes.
But when Stallone comes and he really just wants to talk to the grandfather. He wants to work something out. The mother, one of her dying wishes over the phone, in the phone booth conversation, I think, was like, I know it's going to be hard, but just try to meet my father halfway. Just try to see things. So he goes to kind of have a conversation with them, and the guards won't let him in, And they're rude to him, too. I think they're like, you guy's a loser or whatever.
As he backs down the driveway, they're like, you sure told him, buddy.
Yeah. But then he doesn't. You don't think he's going to just drive away and miss this opportunity to possibly... I don't know what he thought was going to happen. Like, he was going to drive through the gates and his son was going to just jump in the car and they were going to just drive off? Like,
yes, I'm pretty sure that he thought that was what was going to happen.
He did not think it through.
And this is another thing that's missing from the end of this movie. Like, a scene with he and Robert Loggia. And Robert Loggia just being like, all right, I didn't think you had it in you, but... you're the better man. I think we can put this all behind us. There's no reconciliation at the end of this movie.
You didn't see all of Robert Loggia's facial expressions during the when he wins the arm wrestling? Like, he looks, at first he's like mad about it, then he's kind of more like, wow, he's really strong. Then when they're together with the trophy, he's like, okay, I see.
I wanted a voiceover of somebody going, and that's when Robert Loggia's heart grew 3 times its regular size.
That's what
It really is funny to watch him like go from a scowl to still kind of a frown, but like that's supposed to tip us off to the audience that everything's cool now.
He's accepting it.
Yeah, there's no like knowing look or wink at him. Like even just that, even if he just winked or just like gave him a thumbs up or something. None of that.
Right. Or we see a Christmas card with all of them later.
God,
like a blended family.
The one goon, he's got his arm in a sling because he's thrown through a door, but he's in the card too. That would be so great. But no, Lincoln Hawk drives his truck through the gates, through the fountain. He destroys this fountain, which I thought was pretty funny, and rams into the front of this house. And then just gets out and wanders in and yells for Michael.
Like the kid's supposed to come down and, again, get swooped away into the cabin. The cops are called immediately. And even though Michael, again, very tearful, upset on the balcony, like little Juliet on the balcony, watches his father get taken away.
Taken away by the police,
And the grandfather is like, go to your room.
This is a moment in this movie where for a couple scenes now, Robert Loggia is like, Hawks, you're never going to see him, Hawks.
Yeah.
And then he goes to jail, and the cops are like, Hawks, get in jail. And I was 100% sure I just got the name wrong the whole time.
No.
But then the personal secretary, like you said, shows up and calls him Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is the personal secretary comes in and is like, listen, Robert Loggia won't press charges.
Yeah.
So long as you sign over custody of this kid to him.
Mm-hmm.
Bada bing, bada boom. No big deal. Don't worry. Your truck, I guess, is still fine. I have no idea how this truck is in operable condition later to be sold for $7,000. But he says that, and the kid's there.
Yeah.
So Stallone's like, listen, I want to hear what Michael has to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought it was just going to be like Michael being like, listen, they told me to say this, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's like really genuine where he's like, listen, I thought you changed, but you drove a truck into a house.
Yeah. And I think he kind of and then he had a couple nights at home on his fancy bed in his mansion. Yeah. And he was probably like, I don't know, Dad. Like, I kind of like not sleeping in a truck at night. Like, I really don't think that you can do this.
Dad, I told you didn't read books. Like, maybe you could have gone through some legal channels to get me back. I'm not sure you thought this through. Like, Sunset Kenny Loggins song, I get it. That works for some stuff, but it doesn't work
but
right
not
now.
for here. Not for here, Dad. Yeah, but he basically is like, yeah, no, I don't think we should be together. And so now Sly's like, okay, fine then.
He's let out of prison, no charges. All the charges have dropped. He's still got his truck. I assume parts of the fountain are stuck in the grill. Not sure. And this is where this movie kicks into insanely high gear.
Wow.
Because while he is on his way out from jail, this kid's ransacking this house to find the letters that he knows are there. This is, again, a tip for our audience. If you ever want to play Robert Loach's game here, you gotta burn those letters, man.
Don't leave them lying anywhere.
Them in a purse or something.
No.
Which he pulls them out of a purse, which made me think, was his mom hiding those letters from him?
I know. How, because they weren't hiding in his stuff, in the granddad's stuff.
It's not like he goes to Robert Loach's office and finds them. It's clearly his mother's
with his
room
mom's stuff
in her purse.
Good point.
Yeah, which I was like,
she's the troublemaker
is your
in it
mom
all.
the villain of this movie?
Yeah.
We know this is all going to the big arm wrestling championship, which Stallone is on his way to, and now this kid steals a car, one of his father's many cars. He steals a weird looking Jeep truck.
Yeah, well, I guess he figures he's more comfortable, maybe with a 4-wheel drive.
He's like, manual shift? Got it. Let's go.
Got it. On it. Yeah. He leaves. I've put down he escapes in white pants. But he does. He sneaks out the window right after he finds all these letters. We should say we didn't really talk about how at their conversation at the prison, at the jail, is very, very heartfelt. That's when Stallone gets really sweet and is like, I can't guarantee anything, but I just love you and I'll guarantee you that. And Mike's like, but that's not a comfortable bed, so it's not enough. And Stallone's like, I understand, and that's what he gives him, the world meets you halfway, you got to do like this, that Mike brings back to him later. Anyway.
I kind of wanted Mike to be like, listen, I'm going to play the long game here. You see how quickly this guy flies into a rage. He is not long for this earth. He will leave everything to me. You can move into the house then.
Right, just wait. Yeah. Come on.
I'll poison him. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll hire some disorderlies. I've seen it before.
They'll either accidentally kill him or actually make him stronger.
Yeah.
I like how Stallone, so he shows up in Vegas. I like how he's allowed to bet on his own competition.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he comes in and he bets on himself.
Yeah, $7,000 because he just sold his truck to some dude.
So while he's selling his truck, Mike has stolen a car from his grandfather and just drove himself to the airport. Because I'm like, is this kid going to drive himself all the way from California to Vegas?
Well, that's the other thing. I was like, I don't know where they are now, so who knows? Maybe it's like a few miles away. I had no idea, spatially in the country where I was at any point in this movie if they were not in Vegas.
Well, now they are. They're all headed that way. Like I said, Stallone is there. And now we get this competition. We are there. We meet some of our competitors, like Grizzly, and
wow, you wrote names down?
I did. The guy with the whole body engine. He's got the arm for a fire plug. That's the black guy who says his arm is like a fire plug.
Missed that line.
And he'll light you up. He's like, my body is like the engine, and my arm is the fire plug. Lights up. There's a Canadian guy. I think
they do say that one guy's like the Canadian champion or something.
Yeah. And then there's the ex-world champion what was his name again? Blaster, I think.
Wow, you paid way more attention.
I did. I thought it would be important.
While you're watching this stuff, I'm like, how did that kid buy a plane ticket? Are you allowed to just go to the counter and buy a plane ticket? With what, a bundle of cash?
I guess that's what he used. And one of his mother's earrings. He's like, here you go.
Yeah, with all the time that they're yelling about double elimination, I was like, I want to watch this kid get here.
I want to figure out how. Well, because he does, and it is sort of, and he does. It's so funny because he gets there. I mean, the whole competition, he gets till the final 8. I don't think he shows up, Mike.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Many eliminations.
Midway into the final 8, I think, that this kid finally shows up. Because he shows up at a casino and he looks and there's TV monitors airing this. And I'm like, is it right over there? Apparently it's in a whole different part of Las Vegas because he has to get in a cab and then he has to go to the Marriott, wherever they are. So, also, did you notice that some guys are wearing giant platform shoes?
Yes, and I wondered if that's an arm wrestling thing.
I just figured it was something where it was like everybody has to be at equal height because of this table. So some of you have to wear wood blocks.
I guess.
On the bottom of your shoes.
Yeah, I think there's like a...
And Sli's were the biggest wood blocks of anyone's in this competition.
Poor little guy. But so strong, those arms are intense.
Man, the arms... The sweaty arms, the glistening sweaty arms in this is a lot. Because, as I said before we started recording or when we were talking to patrons, at this point in the movie, there's still 35 minutes left, and I couldn't even believe it. We're at the end of this movie, and there's still a third of it to go.
Because this is the competition part. This is the over the top right here.
Yeah.
This is... Yeah, and like I said, I guess these kind of competitions took place. This was a big deal in the 80s to have these arm wrestling.
Listen, I'm assuming this stuff still happens. I don't know
that
it was ever this big. Like, I've seen enough weird strongman competitions on, like, ESPN and stuff to know that this stuff happens. At all of those, I don't see more than like 20 people cheering these guys on. So I don't know that it was ever to this degree where you have an announcer and it's televised and there must be sponsors for $100,000. I have no idea where they're getting all this money.
Quite the prize.
We do see a bunch of these arm wrestlers. You named a few. I love the guy who's just getting someone to slap the shit out of him before a match. Like, so he's just slapping this guy, one cheek, other, back. He slaps him at least 10 times, and the guy's just screaming.
Getting him ready. It is fun, again, because with arm wrestling, it's not like boxing or the karate. You're limited. It's just, like I said, it's back or forth and back or forth. Yeah. So the facial expressions on these guys... I mean, Stallone's is incredible because he's got that weird lip thing that he can do where his face looks like putty. But even the other guys, like, they're so angry.
They're trying so hard. And, I mean, we talked about it in Teen Wolf, too, how we were like, I wonder why they did boxing. And we were like, well, it's because you only need 2 people. And they, dimly lit everything around so you didn't know if there was a crowd there or not. It's even crazier to be like, let's do something even more boring than boxing. It's just 2 guys, and they hold hands and make goofy faces, and somebody pushes the other one's hand down. And we'll make an entire movie about this, and also we'll make most of the last part of this movie just this again and again, and
over and over.
Quick cuts of just people arm wrestling. Like, it is wild. But it's not as boring as it should have been.
Oh no!
And that's the crazy thing about this.
Well, because arm wrestlers have character. They're fun people to watch.
Yes.
Like you said, if all else fails, check out their goofy shoes.
Right. And we talked about it earlier, but just the fact that at every turn, it's like, everybody, just so you're aware, this is double elimination.
The announcer can't say it enough.
Does everybody know what double elimination means? Let's break those 2 words down. Double means 2. Eliminated means... eliminated. So you have to be eliminated or lose to, like, I am exaggerating to a certain point, but
no, you're not exaggerating. This is all the announcer says is that we're at a arm wrestling match. Every now and then he'll say one of their names. Yeah. And it's a double elimination. This is Ted and I am at the double elimination arm wrestling championship.
Just to remind everyone that's here, this is double elimination. It got to the point where near the end, when they're down to only 8 of them, when the guy started saying it, I 100% regretted not writing down how many times it was said.
Oh, yeah. I should have. I did not.
Because finally, when they got to the point, I was like, okay, we're done. Nope, starts right up with double elimination again.
No. Anytime we leave a scene from the wrestling match or from the arm wrestling and then come back in, he's got to announce it.
And I have another question, too, about the double elimination, because then at the end, does that mean that Bull already lost once? Because I thought it was going to be a thing where Stallone wins, and it's like, that's Bull's first loss. Now we got to do this again. But when you get to a championship, you just win or lose?
Well, no, because Stallone loses the first time, doesn't he? Or loses to the guy that eats cigars and drinks gasoline.
Is that the guy that's drinking Alka-Seltzer later?
Yes.
Okay, all right. No, I I didn't see Bull lose ever. So then I was like, well, I guess it doesn't matter when you're in the championship. It's just like, here you go, head to head. Whoever wins, wins.
Maybe once you get to this point. Point.
So we get to watch these competitors and watch like dating profile videos of them. Talk.
It's really great.
These guys are so great because I guarantee you, like I said, most of them are just arm wrestlers, and they're
really just ad-libbing.
Yeah, they're like, just tell us about arm wrestling because these guys are so into it.
Yeah, the one guy was like, I really need this truck, and I'm gonna kill whoever wants the truck because I want the truck. And I'm like, well, okay?
Like, okay. I guess you're from the truckers division. Nope, not at all. Only Sly is.
That's when the other guy talks about having his arm as a spark plug and his body as the engine. Yeah.
Sorry, I think I was just laughing the whole time I was watching this. He loses to the caveman-looking dude who, like you said, eats cigars and drinks gasoline and everything like that. But again, the moment he loses, please, everybody, remember, this is double elimination. I couldn't believe that this was happening.
Well, then it's funny because he really did give his all to not lose that one. But now he takes some time. I think he has a wardrobe change here because this is when all of a sudden he's in his little cut-off New York top. And he's because even when he goes upstairs, we did talk about when he goes to the grandfather.
Well, this is when he goes because he's getting worked on, like we said. And one of the goons is like, hey, Robert Loggia wants to see you. And this is when he says to the guy, hey, how long before I go on again? And the guy's like, I don't know, half hour. He's like, all right, I'll be up there. That's fine.
Robert Loggia makes him a pretty decent offer. He's like, here's $500,000 and look outside. It's a whole brand new truck just for you. Just get out of our lives. Just take this money and start.
When his goons are frantically chasing his son, he's like, let's go truck shopping first. And then I'll just take it. We'll park it outside. You got to put it here because this is where the balcony is and everything. I also love how Robert Loggia tries to make him feel bad for him because he's like, I got nothing left.
Yeah,
my daughter's dead. I got nothing. And I'm just like, at every turn, you're not making the right decision. The right decision is like, you are a massive monster of a man. Can you be one of my goons? Like, are you okay with that?
Yeah, like, work with us. Yeah, let's join teams here. Yeah.
Let's patch this up, dude. But he doesn't. He tries to leave, but that's when Robert Loggia's goon's like, Mr. Robert Loggia is talking to you.
Yeah.
I just throws this guy through doors and then walks away. And on his way out, he's like, when this is over, I'm coming to get Mike.
Yep.
And then, of course, we have to be reminded it's double elimination again.
We're back to the double elimination challenge. When he's up there, and then later when he has his sweet, when Mike finally does find him, his arm, like his elbow, is wrapped in a towel.
It just looks like somebody wrapped a T-shirt around his elbow.
Yeah. But we find out later, because then Mike finally does find him in between the loss from the goon guy, and he tells Mike, like, I think I really hurt myself. Possibly I hurt. He's like got all these reasons, and the other guy is, well, he's really big and he's never lost, and
the whole time he's saying this, I'm like, is he just doing this for Mike's benefit?
Yeah, I think he wants some attention. Yeah.
I'm like, I can't imagine this man that we've seen through this whole movie would ever think this way or talk this way about himself, because it really is him being like, I don't know. Things look pretty bad to me out there. Isn't there something you want to say?
But he does. Mike gives him a pep talk and is like, you gotta. It's just what you told me, Dad. Like, you gotta make it happen, and I believe in you, and so go out there and do it. And then they tell each other, "I love you," and it's beautiful. And then
How about before this though? When they first start talking, when Michael says that he wants to be with him, and Sly's response is, "But a truck is my home."
I didn't catch that.
And Mike's like, that's okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Oh, these two, I'm telling you, they are on their way up the coast to meet Natty and her dad in Oregon.
I was so surprised they didn't go, a truck's my home, and I sold it. Like, I was ready for that. And he doesn't say that. And so now we're down to the final competition. This is also where we see the last of their interviews.
Yes.
Bull's really upset. I like how he says, it's my game. He's got no shit in business being here.
Yep, no shit in business. And I think he says, all I want to do is hurt him. I want to cripple him. I want to do anything I can.
So he doesn't come back and try again.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Wow.
He means business. And Stallone, that's when Stallone gives us the inside about the turn in the hat. And it's a switch, and it makes him feel like a truck. Like a machine, like a truck. Yeah.
Nothing's in my eye line. I better turn around. Oh, I'm standing in front of a giant truck, like a truck. Yeah,
that'll work. Yeah, like a truck.
So they start arm wrestling, and it's super intense, like you said. But I like how Michael's in the audience watching this, and Robert Loggia comes out of nowhere, sidles up to this kid, and goes, "After this is over, we're leaving." And I was like, "That's so nice of you, Robert Loggia, to be like, well, let's see how this turns out, and then we'll go home."
Yeah. Well, their match gets intense right away. They, like you said, he punches him, makes him kind of hit himself.
Well, at first they're arm wrestling, and they, like, Stallone pulls his arm away, like
it's hot. Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. And I was like, isn't he disqualified? No, they just like wrap.
Now
their
they have to
arms
put a
around
strap. They have to strap each other up because when he finally does win, they're still strapped to each other.
Yes. I was like, this is so scary. You're strapped to this giant King
who
Kong
wants to
of a
eat
man.
your son and like cripple you, even though you still might have won the competition. He still seems pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
It's intense because
for a long time.
yes,
this goes on for
longer than you think an arm wrestling match can go on.
It goes on for so long that I was so excited when it turned into slow motion that I was like, slow motion can't be good for both. I know we're getting the end of this now. But it really is back and forth. And the eye work, like I said, they're worried sometimes when it's not going their way. They're really
intense sometimes.
They narrow their eyes when they're winning.
Stallone does some things with his mouth where his lips look like they're sliding off his face and his eyes are like dragon fire. And the arm, like you watch Stallone's arm like grow 5 billion times, like it's so big while he's and Mike is just screaming. Mike is so excited too. And Robert was just changing his expression from like this is like barbaric to like, oh wow, he's really strong, to like
I had no idea he was so strong. I have newfound respect for this man who ran out on my dying daughter.
And then just like you know, I mean, this is not going to be a movie that ends. Oh, he does say, what's his name, talks shit a little bit during it. He's telling him, like, I own you and all this stuff. But like you said, when the slow-mo comes, you know what's coming.
Right, because I think he moves his fingers, too.
Yeah, he does. He does the hand move. Oh, he's adjusting.
This is over.
Yeah,
I did think, for all the shit that this bull guy is talking, I did think it was so, like, strangely graceful, where after he beats him they both like give each other this nod, like good going there. I thought that was, I don't know, it was nice, but it was also bizarre how he's not just so angry. Like I thought he'd just be angry and like people would have to hold him back.
Well, that's what happened when he beat the black guy. They had to hold the black guy back from beating him up.
Well, he was so angry.
Yeah.
And was that black guy sponsored by Budweiser? He wasn't wearing a Budweiser shirt. I'm like, I don't think you can do this in a televised event.
Didn't matter.
Well, okay, at the end of this, his kid runs up on the platform. He picks him up, carries him around. It's a regular Rocky and Adrian sort of thing.
The trophy looks a little cheap. I mean,
the trophy, that kid. This weak child, listen, I know he won an arm wrestling match. He picks it up with two hands, takes
over
one
his
away.
head, yeah.
This cheap plastic trophy. I thought it was great. And it really is tiny, too. It's not even like a cheap, giant trophy that you see in movies a lot with these big pillars and everything. No, it looks like an urn.
Yeah.
In the end, I don't know how much time has passed because he and this kid are walking out to this nice truck and Mike's like, hey, why don't we start a trucking business together? I'm like, you're 10, but okay. And he's like, let's call it Son and Hawk. And Sly's like, no, let's do Hawk and Son. I'm like, of course that sounds better than Son and Hawk.
Son and Hawk, I know. Even I was like, kid, I do like the Hawk. He's got the emblem from his car.
Oh, yeah, he has to take
truck.
it off the old truck, too. Yeah, he sells it, and he's like, can I just take this with me? And I was like,
Hawk stays with me, yeah.
That's fine. No final scene of Robert Loggia and patching
no closure.
things
No, you
up,
just know.
Like, not even like a voiceover of like, no, I'm sure your grandfather will get over this in time. Or something. You could have done anything. They get in a truck and drive away. There's no resolution in this family squabble. He signed his child over to this man and apparently now has kidnapped him.
Well, no, he's a championship arm wrestler. He's confident in that. It will be enough to, sustain the kid. And that.
Judge, hold on. I don't think you understand that my client here is a championship arm wrestler. Oh, well, why didn't you say that from the beginning? Case dismissed. And I really did. I didn't think there'd be like a post-credit sequence, but I watched the entire closing credits just to see if there was something with Robert Loggia. There isn't. I was waiting the whole time for it.
But yeah, that's over the top. There you have it.
Another successful, enjoyable, I have to say, Sly's Giving has come to an end. Mm-hmm. I feel like I just ate a big turkey dinner. Like
Me
I feel
too.
Satisfied.
My left arm is a little smaller than my right, but I feel good.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should be
wonderful.
a passenger in that truck for a little bit. Let someone else drive.
Yeah.
You can work that left arm.
I like it. Put my hat on backwards before I sit down.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of this, we normally do like a wrap up of what did we think. I don't even know if we need to. It's good.
I think when you're celebrating this holiday, history has shown us that there's nothing not to like about a Sly's Giving movie.
Yep.
It's
this is one of those movies that I feel like is like if you're a middle-aged dad out there, this is like a great Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah,
this
take
is
it
such
in.
a dad movie. It's crazy.
Take it in, and you'll feel better. My husband was like, "Man, I remember watching this and like." That's the life I wanted to live. Like I wanted to meet my other dad that was out there driving trucks and maybe looking for me. And he was going to sweep me away from my family. And like, I was like, yeah, I can see that. Just like I was wanted to be, riding trains with a wolf dog.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand it. Yeah, it is really interesting because the way, and we talked about this during our Karate Kid episode where I was like, I really loved Mr. Miyagi in this. And as a kid, all I cared about was what Daniel was doing. I don't remember my feelings of this movie when I saw it as a kid, but I know it wasn't the way I was watching it this time. This is just so hilarious and just so enjoyable, like such low stakes nonsense that I just had so much fun just watching.
It's great. And hey, Stallone looks great, I have to say. It's a good time for Stallone. He doesn't wear a dress, but he does he does rock some.
This holiday makes me appreciate Stallone so much because I feel like I was a little too young at this time. I always, knew Stallone as Rambo and Rocky, and just getting to watch things that are different than those movies. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he is so apparently passionate about these nonsense projects. Yeah. Like the fact that, and again, we probably should have saved this for our big finale of Sly's Giving, but the fact that he directed Staying Alive, like that was wild to me, that was something that he decided to do. And all of his input with Rhinestone and this, like I love it. I love him so much more than I thought I ever would.
I agree. That's what Sly's Giving's all about, being grateful for Sly.
It really is, strangely enough. All right, so did this movie give you any sort of recommendations? Do you have anything that people should check out?
And I apologize for this, and maybe I'll send you when I discover it. So there was a movie that we just watched like maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, my husband and I. We found it on I don't even know, on one of the watching platforms, and it was a really sweet new recently released indie movie about a dad who's clearly dying, and he's teaching his young son sort of about death, and it's very sort of like indie like, where it's these crazy scenes of they go into this like imaginary world, so the dad can kind of explain being strong while he passes, and it's clearly like you're not sure if this is the dad being very sick and having these hallucinations, or if it's the dad and the kid really using their imagination together. It's very sweet. It's not as good as Over the Top because this is really, but I can't remember the name of it and I can't find it anywhere online, and so
just when I think, and again, I mean, I just edited our Hell Comes to Frogtown episode.
Yeah.
And I just put it up. It just came up today, the day we're recording.
Great.
You cannot beat you talking about a documentary that does not exist about a myth that you heard once. Like, Just the fact that at the end of that you were like, yeah, it's not a movie. It doesn't exist, but it should. So go watch it. What? So this is close, but at least this is an actual movie.
Yes, but I can't. So if it sounds familiar, or if when I find the title, I'm sure it's out there somewhere at my resource. But it's very sweet. But like I said, it's a father-son relationship, but it's no over the top.
Okay, all right.
How about for you? How about you?
Well, I just watched a movie, and I sort of tried to find a way that I could recommend this movie.
Fair enough. I feel like this is recent.
Stallone's last name was Hawk, and I'm going to recommend the movie. This is the most recent movie that I've ever recommended on the show. I guarantee you it's from 2020. Oh. And it is Birds of Prey, and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I do not like superhero movies. I make no bones about it. I don't like them. I don't find them fun or interesting. It's like a CGI nonsense fest where I feel like computers are just punching me in the face the whole time. Oh. I hate them. But I heard this is fun. I heard it was a little bit different. And I watched it, and it's super fun. Like
You liked it. All right.
It's way more violent. Like, it's rated R for a reason. It's way more violent, and they just curse throughout the entire thing.
Fresh.
But it's very, and I'm not saying this is the reason to watch it, but it was very obviously like a wonderful female empowerment movie because it basically follows like 4 female characters, and they sort of team up, and it's really great, and it's way more fun than I thought it was going to be. So if people don't like Marvel movies or DC movies or whatever, this is certainly one that I think is worth your time.
Groovy.
But I've heard from people who like those movies, they didn't like this one. So, I think it's very specific.
Well, I might have to check it out, even with all.
Yeah, I kind of like pre-watched it because I was like, maybe Jocelyn could watch this. I'm not sure. No. It's so crazy violent at times. Where there's like a guy who like cuts and peels people's faces off.
Ooh, the
like,
face peel. That's
this
a thing.
Is a bit much.
They get into that now. I don't know if it's because they can, but there was something else we watched recently. 2 different like recent horror things. That Lovecraft Country, which I recommend, where they're like peeling skin off of. What's with the peeling of the skin? What is that?
I don't know.
Let's leave our skins on. All right.
Let's leave our skins on. Just, okay, reminder, note to self, try and push off watching Hellraiser as much as possible for Jamie. All right, so I had mentioned earlier at the top that we do have a bonus episode coming out. What? It will be on December 1st. Now, regular listeners of the show know that in December, for our bonus episodes, we usually do a holiday movie. Well, our 2 regular episodes in December, one comes out on the first day of Hanukkah. The other one comes out on Christmas Day. So you know what? We got the holidays covered.
We got it.
So my thought is there was a movie that was supposed to come out in December of 2020. And because of COVID, it's not coming out. I thought it would be fun, though, to cover the original because it is a remake. And we'll be talking about David Lynch's Dune.
Ooh.
Which is a movie that he disavowed after he made it. And it's a movie that I remember seeing as a kid and hating every second of it.
Oh, that's going to be a great way to bring in the holidays.
Yeah, great way to bring in the holidays. But I do know a ton of people absolutely love this movie. They love the books that it was, based on and everything like that. And we get some sci-fi in this podcast, but not a ton. And when we do, it's, I'm going to say light sci-fi, like Star Trek. So this is going to be a little heavier sci-fi, but that's what we're going to do on December 1st. So for all patrons out there, you will get that on December 1st. For everyone who's not a patron, maybe consider signing up for $5 and you will get that. You'll get our next bonus episode, which will be on December 24th, which we'll talk about in a couple episodes. But our regular episode in 2 weeks, I said it was going to be the first day of Hanukkah. So we're going to check in on the Stries for the first time ever on this podcast, and we're going to watch Yentl.
Oh, oy vey. I am so excited about Yentl. Beautiful.
I'm glad you're excited. I I've never seen it.
Sad for
I
you.
don't know much about it.
It's amazing.
But in my mind, it's probably at least 5 hours long,
Yeah,
and it's super
long.
boring.
Yeah,
So
it's long.
I am maybe not necessarily looking forward to this quite as much as you are, but you know what? It's what we're doing next.
You know what? And it's for the holiday, and it's for Babs, and it's wonderful. It's a history. It's a little bit of history too for you.
Yeah. So I can't think of anything more different than Over the Top.
Oh yeah, than Yentl.
Than Dune
well,
and then Yentl.
It's a mother-son, or it's a father-daughter relationship in Yentl. That's very intense.
Okay. All right.
Like a father-son in this one. So yeah.
So like a Natty Gann. Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Starting to figure some things out. All right, everybody.
I like that everything somehow relates back to Natty Gann.
Thank you for listening again. Follow us on all of the social media places where you can find us. And we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Until then, I just went to wipe something off of my screen. It was your nose ring.